Hey guys, so sorry I look like a complete mess. It's monsoon season here, it's hot, it's miserable, and there's really like no point in even trying to look nice because, especially when we're going out and like running errands and trying to get all sorts of stuff done, there's really no point. So yeah, that's my excuse. But this is my labor and delivery story. I know everyone's, dying to know everything that happened and everything like that. So it's probably gonna have to be two parts because I was in labor for 19 hours, so got a lot to say. So, as you all know, I had a really bad PUPS rash, and some of you, I didn't make a 39-week video or a 38-week video just because, my back was really, really hurting. For those of you that know, I hurt my back really bad in junior high playing sports. And, it's called my sacroiliac joint, and it was just really, really painful, and all of the extra weight from her like pulling on my back was just extremely painful. I couldn't walk. My entire right leg was just numb, and so I was, and my PUPS rash was horrible. Like, I wasn't getting any sleep or anything like that. So I called the nurse at the OBGYN, and I was like, look, I'm just gonna be completely honest with you. I am absolutely miserable, and mentally I'm losing it. Like, I need to talk to a doctor. All of my doctors said that once I hit 39 weeks that they would induce me, but my doctor that I had been seeing this entire pregnancy practically, as soon as I hit 37 weeks, they started scheduling me with different doctors that I had never seen. And I was like, why am I not seeing my doctor? And then they tell me that, she PCS'd, and so she's back in the States. And I'm like, oh, well, that's nice. So I was seeing this completely new doctor that knew absolutely nothing about my case. She hadn't been with me throughout my entire pregnancy, and so she pretty much was just like, all right, well, you're just going to have to deal with it. It's not that bad. And I'm like, all right, listen here. Listen here. It's, so I was really upset about that. And the nurse, I've called the nurse like all the time, so she knew me, by name. And she was like, I know that you've never seen this doctor before, so for her to make that decision, when I know that your other doctors both told you that, they would induce you at 39 weeks, that's not fair for her to say. And so I had seen a Korean doctor earlier in my pregnancy named Dr. Kim, and I really like him. He was really nice, really helpful. He's kind of hard to understand. That's the only thing that I, is bad about him, I guess. But other than that, he's just really, really sweet, genuine, good doctor. And so she was like, well, let me talk to Dr. Kim, because that was who my next appointment was with anyway on, Monday. I called her on a Wednesday. And she was like, let me talk to Dr. Kim and I'll call you back. And I said, okay. And she was like, Dr. Kim wants to see you tomorrow. Or no, she's like, call back tomorrow and we'll talk to Dr. Kim again. And so I called on Thursday in the morning at like 9 or 10 or something like that. And she was like, Dr. Kim wants you to come in at 2 o'clock. And he wants to induce you. And I was like, oh my God. Like, I wasn't actually expecting to get help on this because pretty much every time I've called and, said I'm in pain, I'm sick of this, I need something to help me, they've pretty much given me medicine that hasn't worked, or they've told me, take a bath or something like that. I'm like, I take like 6 baths a day. It doesn't help. That PUPS doesn't go away with that. And I was like, my leg is numb. I can't walk. Like, how much more are you going to make me go through? So, when she said that, I was like stoked. But I didn't want to get my hopes up because, I didn't want to get let down if something didn't happen. So, anyways, I go in, I see Dr. Kim, and he checked my cervix. And the last time I went in, she told me I was 3 centimeters. So when he asked me, he was like, I told him I was 3 centimeters. And he checked me and he said, oh, well, you're not 3 centimeters. You're a stretchy 2 centimeters. And what he said is like my cervix was like this. So it was open to like 3 centimeters at the top, but like, farther in it wasn't quite dilated. So it was really weird. I don't know. It was hard to explain. But he said that since I'm not 3 centimeters, he didn't want to give me Pitocin because I wasn't ready. My cervix was really, really thick still. It hadn't thinned out at all. And so he was like, well, I can't give you Pitocin yet. I guess he could, but he didn't want to. He wanted to, not do something so drastic. And so he was like, go up to the WICU, and at 3 o'clock, I'll give you a gel that'll help thin your cervix. And I don't remember the gel. He didn't tell me the name. But I went up at 3, and they monitored me for like 30 minutes or something like that. And then he came in, and he stretched my cervix. Oh my gosh, that was really painful. And he gave me the gel, and the gel didn't hurt. Honestly, it kind of felt like icy hot, though. I don't know if that was just me. It kind of like tingled a little bit. It was kind of weird. But anyways, he gave me the gel, and he was like, this might work, it might not. And so, again, I didn't want to get my hopes up or anything. He gave me the gel, monitored me for 2 hours, and I didn't have any contractions. I was just still really crampy from when he stretched me, because that hurt. And so he was like, all right, well, you didn't really thin out very much, so I want you to go home for like 2 hours and then come back at like 7:45, and we'll give you another one. So I went home, and we had just bought a pack and play, and so I put the pack and play together, and, I got in the car. Me and Troy got in the car a little bit early because, we knew we'd have to go back, and we were just kind of bored, so we just drove around base. And when we were driving around, I was starting to feel like this pain, like in my like hip area, like where you're I don't know how to explain it. It was like just cramps pretty much. And I had gotten into the WICU before thinking I was having contractions, but I definitely knew I was having contractions, because these cramps, they hurt, but I totally could have gone through it. I wasn't crying. I was still talking through them. But some of them, like, when you're having contractions, when you have to stop and you have to, like, just focus on something, and you make this weird noise. You're like, and you're, like, breathing really funny through it. Like, that's how I knew I was having contractions. So, we went in at, like, 6:30, and I told him, I was like, I think I'm having contractions. Can you check me? And they hooked me up to the monitor, and in fact, I was having little contractions, and I was so excited. I was like, yes, this is so exciting. And, finally, after all this time, because every time I've gone in, they're like, oh, well, you're not having contractions, go home. And, it's really frustrating, because you think it's time, and it's really not. So when I saw that I was having contractions, I was, like, so stoked, and I was so happy. And pretty much he came in at 7:45, because you have to wait 3 hours or something like that in between each gel. And he checked me, and I had thinned out a pretty good amount. And he gave me the other gel, and then my contractions were every 4 minutes after that. Or no, I take that back. They were like every 2 minutes. And so I, at like 11 o'clock, they were still monitoring me. I still wasn't 4 centimeters, so they couldn't admit me into labor and delivery. So they're like, all right, go get something to eat, go get something to drink, because as soon as, you dilate to 4 centimeters, you can't, you can't eat or drink anything. And so I took full advantage of that, because, I was hungry. And, me and Troy just walked around the hospital. Again, I was having contractions. They were painful, but I could deal with it. It wasn't worse than getting a tattoo or anything like that. So, yeah. So I went back, and I sat for like an hour, I would say. And they checked me, and I was 4 centimeters, and so they admitted me to labor and delivery. I'm at 9 minutes, so I'm going to have to stop and make a second part. So, yeah.